Ever since the start of this Ripple lawsuit, the lawsuit that has hampered the price of XRP, people have been wondering, how is this lawsuit going to end? What are going to be the possible outcomes, and when exactly is that going to happen? Now, thankfully, we can answer some of those questions, and especially a question which we haven't really looked before, and that is the possible outcome of this lawsuit. Now, if you have been following this lawsuit, you might realize that the verdict, the final verdict from the judge, is not going to be a simple victory or a lose situation. It is going to be much more complex than that, and that is why in today's video we are going to be looking at the possible outcomes and the latest timeline for this Ripple lawsuit, because things have changed in the past 24 hours. So a lot of very interesting things to be talked about in today's video. Let's start off with how this lawsuit can get resolved. There are 4 pieces to it. The first piece is basically the dismissal piece, which did not happen. The next is the settlement piece, and believe it or not, that is still on the table, but that settlement is not entirely for all of this lawsuit. There can be some pieces within this settlement which we will be talking about in a bit. The third is the summary judgment phase, which we currently are in, and a lot of people within the Ripple and XRP community believe that this is the final phase. We are not going to go much further, but the fourth and final phase is going to be the trial phase. And as I mentioned previously, it is very unlikely that we'll go to a trial phase, because SEC really does not want to go to a trial, because that means that SEC employees are cross-examined, ask a lot of these questions, which could set a precedent for a lot of lawsuits that can follow. Because keep in mind that this is not going to be the first lawsuit that the SEC is going to file against crypto exchange. There are going to be multiple crypto companies that the SEC is going to go after Ripple. So now the important question of what can exactly happen. As I mentioned, the first was the dismissal phase, which it has gone by. Next is the settlement. Honestly, Ripple wants clarity on one very important thing, and their lead counsel has actually talked about it. They said that they're ready to settle with the SEC at any time. Basically, I'm quoting the phrase, at any minute, if we get clarity on XRP, basically saying that XRP is not a security. And honestly, that can be settled, but it could mean that the past sales of XRP, they can move to a summary judgment phase, which can likely happen. We have attorney Jeremy Hogan, who really clarified this and put it in very nicely. He puts it, as summary judgment, the judge can rule on any piece of the case and leave the remainder for trial. Example, the judge could rule that no sale of XRP after implementation of Ripple's ODL used for XRP were securities, and everything prior to that will be left for trial. Another example is the judge could decide that all sales were securities and leave the issue of damages and scienter of individual defendants for trial. Also, yes, the judge could rule no sales of securities, and that covers all the bases. And finally, we have Ripple has requested that the fair notice issued not be decided as summary judgment but left for trial. That would of course only occur if Ripple loses on the securities violation issue. The point being, there are a lot of outcomes of this lawsuit, and sometimes we might not really realize that, hey, did Ripple win or lose, because it's not going to be that clear. But keeping everything in mind, you also have to realize that Ripple really wants to play the long game, because they have come this far. And as the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, mentioned, they have spent more than $100 million fighting the SEC, which is very, very pricey. In the last 24 hours, the judge has approved a new timeline for this lawsuit. Now, keep in mind that previously we were expecting both parties to file their summary judgment replies around on 15th November, but that has been slightly extended because it's not just the SEC, but both sides, Ripple and the SEC, they both have asked for extensions, because keep in mind that this is going to be the last reply each side is going to get. So it is very, very important. So let's take a look at the new timeline. The new timeline is November 11th. It is a deadline for any additional amicus motions and briefs. These are super, super important, as you guys have imagined, and I've talked in my last video. Something around 13 companies and organizations have filed amicus briefs in support of Ripple, telling the judge that, hey, I know the legal sides, it is very important, but take a look at the real world usage, the real world case for XRP and how it is being used and how important it is, not just for Ripple and XRP but for the entire world of crypto. And these are extremely important. So far 13 have been filed in favor of Ripple, while the SEC, they have gotten 0. No surprises there. So we might be getting some more until November 11th, so that's pretty good. Then it is November 30th. That is when each side, Ripple and the SEC, they are going to be filing their summary judgment replies. Initially, the timeline was 15th November, but from 15th November, they have asked to shift it for 30th November now. So anytime after the 30th November, basically anytime in December, the judge can give a verdict on this summary judgment, but we are expecting that is still going to take time, even though they are going to be filing on 30th November, but the public versions are coming on 5th December. As we have it here, parties file public redacted versions of reply briefs, making only those provisional redactions requested by the parties during the meet and confer. So December 5th is the day in which the public gets to see all those juicy details. Then we have some omnibus motions, which are not that really important. But so the important thing here is November 30th. It is the last major day in this ongoing Ripple lawsuit, and after that it is simply a waiting game. So after 30th November, all we have to do is wait for the judge to give a verdict. There are a lot of things to unpack in today's video, and as you can see, there is going to be no straight answer for who is going to be the victor here, Ripple or the SEC. But so far from what we have seen, Ripple has the upper hand, and even though it has the upper hand, things might not seem as clear, and that is why this video was so important. And a big thanks to attorney Jeremy Hogan, who really put this out there. Well guys, if you are new to my channel, I would highly appreciate if you can subscribe and give this video a like, and do leave a comment below because I do love reading all your comments. And be sure that when the time comes, I will be giving all the latest updates related to this Ripple lawsuit, and obviously talking about XRP. And as always, thank you for watching this, and I will see you next time.